Dr. Garrett Castleberry here, Program Director of Communication, Media, and Ethics at Mid-America Christian University. And I'm here to provide a preview of our key readings in Comm 5103, Advanced Professional Communication and Leadership Practicum. Well, with such a long course title, and we were very intentional with the design of that course title, it's intended to serve several purposes as it suggests. Now, let me back up and give it a little bit of context. Here you are entering a program, and you might be heading in one of several directions as a graduate student with us at MACU. And one track might be, for a large number, an MBA. One of our most valuable, highly coveted, and highly touted degree options, the MBA. It does set students up to better credentialize a successful career track in the professional sector. And others might be pursuing a Master's of Leadership, in which they are looking to, once again, gain better credentialing, but also develop their ability to lead themselves and others in the workforce, but possibly in the home front as well. And also, as our prefix suggests, students coming from or a part of the communication discipline will be picking up a valuable graduate level curriculum designed to help us improve our leadership skills. Now, you may be coming through as part of an alternative degree or credentialing process, given that our course Comm 5103 is part of MACU's graduate core curriculum. And so that is incredibly exciting, but highlights our need to be diligent in what we do with this course. And so what I've described here is really an intersection of different interest areas that are all converging potentially in this course. And so for that reason, and with that very identity in mind, we have selected the following readings at this juncture of the course's lifespan to help us navigate channels that speak to communication, but also lend themselves to leadership and business management minded outlets for our students. And so you're going to hopefully recognize some convergence that's happening in this course, and these key readings are going to help us. Now, if you're a full-time employee at MACU or an alumni of MACU, as some of our graduate students are, right? A percentage of our students do take advantage of that benefit to work through curriculum, then you're likely no stranger to our partnership with Giant Worldwide, leadership consulting firm. And one of the things that has benefited for our students and maybe even our faculty and staff is that it gives us a language set with which to work through organizational situations, right? It could be a mechanism for problem solving, but especially individual growth in the area of leadership. Well, this is a Comm graduate course with leadership emphasis, and so we're going to lean heavily on one of the master texts that helped inspire the curriculum that MACU puts many of its employees through in terms of Giant, right? And so the book that reads best at an individual level but makes for great coffee table conversation or discussion in a classroom is the 100X Leader. All right, have to become someone worth following. Now, if you have done a deep dive into MACU literature, maybe you're familiar with this, and certainly if you have any exposure at all to that area of professional development, then some of the key terms mentioned in this book will be familiar to you. This is co-written by Jeremy Kubicek and Steve Cockrum, and these are the co-founders of Giant. And so we are integrating this book into the course for several strategic reasons, all right? And so before you shut this video off, throw the computer at the wall because you feel frustrated that, no, wait, I already know this. Why do I need to be in this class? Wait right there. We're going to put it in context and explain it in a way that assures you we're not just retreading here. And that was a high point of concern as we conceptualize this course. First of all, the context of including 100x leader into this particular course is so that in future revisions, they can lessen some of the giant inclusion in other curriculum. But really, if we want to think about it in context, what does revisiting this literature provide for us? Well, it gives us continuity. And continuity is like repetition of form, which helps us retain and thus find real use value for it, right? If we repeatedly engage with a certain type of content, we're going to adopt that language set, that codex, into our immediate use value and thus be able to apply it better, more accurately. And guess what? That's exactly what we want. We want more accurate applicants of certain terminology, because that's where we start to track leadership growth, all right? And so 100x leader is going to give us a baseline, a way of building up. And guess what, folks? Even for the I'm going to say small segment of you that have some basic background familiarity with Giant or Giant Worldwide leadership curriculum, there is going to be a majority of you for which this is brand new. And I do believe, I've checked the records, that none of our other courses use this exact book. So that's going to be helpful. It's also pretty smooth read. We're gonna have it's easy to work through. It's even got some internal checkpoints of application, right? Where it asks you questions, space to answer and respond. That's going to healthily feed into what we do in the class. Let's talk about some other readings. We are going to have a major project in this course, and I'll talk about that major project at length in context in a later video in our video syllabi series. But a book that was handpicked to help provide background and context for that event project planning exercise is Meetings. Oh, hold on. Let me take a breath. This is a long title. Meetings, Expositions, Events, and Conventions, an Introduction to the Industry by George Finich. And this is a 5th edition. Perhaps there is, I'm going to go ahead and say, perhaps there's a previous edition that's out there circulating on a secondary market, and it's at a premium price you just can't hesitate to pull the trigger on. Don't be afraid to do that. Pick it up. You're not going to miss out on too much. Now, maybe a 1st edition floating out there. Perhaps it's missing quite a bit of information from this 5th edition, but we'll really try to continue to be flexible with the kinds of choices. Now, a good thing about it, this is a pretty lean book, right? It's not too thick, so it's not going to press you too hard time-wise. But I honestly believe this type of volume is the kind of thing that is going to aid your understanding to better develop your own event project in the class, and it can become that kind of text that you revisit every couple of years, and you go back and maybe you get rusty on prepping for some type of organizational challenge, and you'll want to return to this book and gain some more momentum. Well, let me tell you, I mean, you can see plenty of books behind me. This is not a what do you call it, a Zoom background that I've taken off the internet. These are not blank pages, right? I'm not on a sound studio. These are real books. And I've read most of them, if I can put it that way. But one of the benefits of those I've read a majority of is I like to be able to pick it back up at a later point in time and re-examine its worth, its values. And the great books I've ever read have something to say to me that's different each and every time I pick it up. But every few years, if I put a little space in between there, I'm getting a whole new layer of understanding and interpretation in future revisits. So for those of you worried about books going, I don't know, out of style or that kind of thing, these are resources. We're trying to just introduce you all to a number of resources that can help you. And then from there, you're making your own decisions on the level of, inclusion and participation that these have, now and even later. But our job is to put great materials in front of you and help create the best possible circumstance through which you can succeed. And so that's my word on that book. It'll be part of our kind of a secondary reading as you're independently working on your event program, special project. And then finally, here is a third text. And if the title is telling enough, I had heard at one point leading up to the course that there were what do we call it in today's lingo? Supply shortages, right? At one point. And so it's okay. We'll find a way, right? Life finds a way. But this book is called The Slow Professor: Challenging the Culture of Speed in the Academy, from Maggie Berg and Barbara Sieber. And this is just a nice, refreshing kind of alt take on what we're doing and accomplishing in the class. Now, you don't have to be a communication specialist. You don't have to be what we call an academician, right? You don't have to be headed into a career as a faculty member to gain perspective from this read. But for those of you that perhaps are looking to gain credential, and maybe you want to either become an instructor or faculty member part-time along with your professional career, or perhaps it is a professional career you're looking at long-term, or even a second career after retiring from your current career field, which is something we see increasingly, then this could be a book that gives you a nice food for thought. Well, we're coming at things rapid fire. It's a 6-week course experience, and sometimes you're just pulling your hair out because things are so crazy, moving so quick. And so it's helpful to be able to say to yourself, when do I ever allow myself an opportunity to pause, to slow down? And for those of us working in higher ed, this is a book where the authors make a kind of case for pace of work, pace of life, and they have, without spoiling it too much, they have an argument that they're intending to make that could add value. If nothing else, it's going to create a space for some rich discussion for us, and look forward to that discussion to come. I look forward to your ideas and insights as we work through this curriculum together, this much and more, in COM 5103, Advanced Professional Communication and Leadership Practicum.